Okay, this is our third video on the Masquerade. This Masquerade by Leon Russell, a jazz standard. It's a great song, great melody. As I said in an earlier video, it's been the top of the charts. Popular rhythm and blues and jazz all at the same time. Pretty amazing song, beautiful melody. So we have a video where I have a complete cover where I play the verse and the bridge, and I improvise during the long breaks, which is nice about this song. You got some long breaks where there's no singing, and you can experiment with your improvisation. And I have another video where I show how to improvise, at least my theory on my way of improvising with a modified F minor scale or F minor pentatonic scale with some notes that are outside the scale. So that's another video. And this third video will be how to play the melody. So I'm going to use my cover video, and I'm going to play the verse, and then I'm going to zoom in on my fretboard here and show you note for note how the melody is played so you can really learn the verse. And then we'll do the same thing for the bridge. So stay tuned. We'll listen to the cover now and see how the verse sounds before we provide any instruction note for note on how to do that. Okay, the bottom right hand of the screen, that's from my cover where I play the verse, the bridge, and the solo pieces. Obviously, we're going to focus in on the verse right now. I'm going to play the verse. It's about 40 seconds, so you can kind of hear what it sounds like with the backing track, and then we'll stop it. We'll make my screen larger, and I'll show you note for note on the fretboard exactly what's being played. Okay, there's a few notes being played here as a little intro or a section to get you to the bridge, which is next. So we're going to stop it here, and I'll zoom in on my fretboard, and I'll show you note for note what's being played for the verse. So we'll break the verse up into two parts, okay? So the first part, get yourself into the F minor barcode position, right? And he's really kind of playing right up the scale. So this is F, right? I'm on the 10th fret of the G string. And at first he goes right up the scale. Right? Then he jumps up to the G, the 15th fret. Goes down to the 13th fret. And then moves over one string to the B, 13th fret. And then I just go down a full step. So there's no half steps there. I'm going from an F to a B flat, to a G sharp, back up, and back to the F on the 10th fret of the G string, right? And then he's still it's more than pentatonic. It's the F minor here is being played. And then you go to the 9th fret of the B string, back and forth. Now that E flat is really if you're singing it, you go down. I put a little frill in there, but you can play it either way. But basically it's so that's how I play it. I just put this little hammer on. Now if you listen to George Benson, he sings all sorts of extra notes in there. So again, it depends on how you want to play it. It's jazz, so it's really light jazz. You can do it any way you want. Then we've got a bar before the second half of the verse comes in. So what I do for that is I have this little fill here. So I'm going from the 11th fret. Again, this is all in the key to the 9th, to the 8th, 11th, 9th, 8th again. Now that's E, which is not in the scale, but that's a little chromatic movement, right? If you listen to my solo video, I talk about this chromatic movement, a few of the notes that are not in the scale that we use, because they're in the chords. These jazz chords have some notes that are not in the scale, so it makes it interesting. So that's the whole piece of it. You start, put yourself in the F minor position, go right up the scale, and then back down the E, Again, this is just a chromatic move to the first note of the song again. The song starts on F. Okay, so that's the first half of the verse. Now let's play the second half of the verse, and then we'll switch back to this view. Okay, let's do the second half of the verse, which is basically the same. It just ends differently. So I'm going to start this video where I have that little. There's a couple of bars between the first half and the second half of the verse, and I have a little frill in there. I'll show you what I mean. Hold on a second. Let me just minimize this. Where I have that little. I go down the scale like this, and then E to F. And then it starts again. Right up the scale again. Okay, let's show you how the whole thing sounds with the backing track. That's the frill. Starts again. Same. Here's where it changes. Okay, it changes there to the last few notes are, we're lost in a masquerade. And then I've got a little fill here, a few notes before we go to the bridge. Where you hear this, I'm just going back and forth with a few notes on the F minor. Before we go to the bridge, which is very different chords, almost really a different key. Here's where the bridge starts, and we'll break that up separately. Okay. Let's zoom in on my fretboard now, and I'll show you the second half of the verse in detail. Okay, so as I said before, you have that little. I put this little break in here, and then we start the second half of the verse. Exactly the same. The only difference is instead now we're going to have that the one piece that's sort of like a verse that repeats is this phrase "lost." I'm lost in a masquerade. Now you go to the D string on the 10th fret, and then back to the G string 10th fret. I'm lost. Oh, we're lost. So I'm just going from again 10th fret D, G. 9th fret on the B string, and then 11th fret on the B string, and you could slide up to the 12th, but I like to bend. And now that completes the second half of the verse. And now, as I said earlier, there's a little bar here before the bridge starts. I just throw a few notes, and you can do it whatever you like. Then the bridge starts. Totally different. We'll do a separate video, a separate piece for that. Okay, hold on. We're going to play the bridge next so you can hear what it sounds like, and then we'll do a lesson on the bridge. Okay, before we jump right into the bridge, I'm going to end with the end of the verse. We're lost in a masquerade with that bend, and then you hear about 4 or 5 notes for a bar. That's sort of an intro, and you can make up whatever you want for that intro, and then lead into the bridge, and then you'll hear the bridge, which is very different than the verse, obviously. They usually are. Okay, here we go. Lost in Masquerade. Little fill here. Bridge. Goes to the next verse now. So, I do have a PDF that shows you the bridge and the verse, the pattern, and the backing track shows you that as well. Okay, let's zoom in on my screen now, and we'll do the instruction on the bridge. Show you exactly note for note. Okay, so we've got that little the bridge starts right here on the 11th fret of the D string, and then a slide. Okay, let's do that again. 11th fret, then I'm going to the G string, 8 and 10, and then slide from 10 to 8. 2 hits on the 6th fret of the G string, then go over to the D string, slide down to the 3rd fret. That's sort of the first half of it. And then I just put that little frill in here. And then the rest of it is you go back to the D and the G string. Okay, and hit the at the 6th fret. That's my own little fill because there's some singing rest. There's no lyrics hanging, so I put the little, which is basically the F minor chord with the little pinky on the 11th fret of the E string. So again, that second half is you hit the double hits here on the 6th fret of the G. And now, it's a little different, the rest of it. We tried to work it over. Now open strings. 2nd fret on the D, back to the open G. I got a double stop here on the 3rd and 5th fret of the G and D. Open again. Now I go up a little bit with my middle finger to the next fret, to the 4th fret, and that's the whole bridge. So it's quite different than the verse, but with some practice you'll get it. It's 40 seconds. It's not a terrible long period of time. Okay, so that covers the verse and the bridge, the melody. So have fun with it. You know, listen to my cover. You can listen to a live version of Leon Russell. I think that's a good one to listen to. I think that's in a different key though. Or George Benson's in F minor. But George Benson's kind of like really kind of almost bebop. He's got a lot of sort of singing variations and fills with his voice and with the guitar as well. So have fun with it. You've got all the videos, you got the cover, and I'll put all the links in the description. You've got some ideas on how to improvise and the modified scale of the F minor, and you've got the verse and the bridge as well, so you got the whole package. Have fun with it. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it useful, click like below and subscribe. Thanks. Have a good day. See you next time. Bye.